Hey, welcome back to Meet the Money. I've got David Hirson with EB-5 financing. He's an expert, maybe even the godfather of EB-5. So, David, welcome. How are you doing this morning?
Well, thank you. I'm doing very well, thank you, and really glad to be here again. I've attended many of these Meet the Money programs and thoroughly enjoy them. I've been connected to the J&B and law firm for over 20 years as a referral source. My area of work is immigration law,
Nice.
and that covers a whole series of areas under immigration law. We work on the positive side, the benefit side, not on the defense side, so I don't go down to the southern border or such things, but I'm able to work with business people, professionals, and families.
Nice. Now, tell us about EB-5. That's back. You're getting deals financed, you're putting them together,
Yes.
and moving forward with projects that probably wouldn't be able to get off the ground if they didn't have the EB-5 financing.
Correct. Well, if we go back several years when there was the financial crash, EB-5 saved many projects which would not be in existence today.
Yeah.
And that's happening again. The cost of money from banks, if you can get it at all, is very high. And the EB-5 money, again, a little more difficult to get than in the past, is much, much lower. So people like the EB-5 program, even with its slowness and difficulties of bringing in the actual cash, but we've found it alive and well. Even China is still producing the major number of investors, although it's far less than it was previously. But there are other countries that are producing investors, and these include India, which is one of the bigger ones, Vietnam, which has the same problem as China with exchange control at a very high level, and people do not want to break the laws. And then we can go on to places like Korea and Brazil, and then we shoot over to the Middle East. We've got the Emirates and other countries round about where most of the impats do not want to stay there because of the danger of being cancelled every 2 or 3 years under their contract. So they want out until they hear about US worldwide taxes. Then they have second thoughts, but they still come, and it's still the choice country to come to. A lot of them for the education of their children.
Yeah.
These people in EB-5 who come in are not the troublemakers. They don't get into trouble.
Right.
They bring their families, they put them into colleges and schools, and they fund them and finance them, and basically spend money. I have an example of some years ago where came into the Newport Beach area in Orange County, California. He spent 12 or 15 million in cash for his little house overlooking the ocean and the golf course. A couple of Mercedes-Benz in the drive, fully furnished, a couple of servants operating, and he was there. It's the one-child policy, he had one kid, put him into UCI, which is the local university, very popular with Asians, and that's the model, and they want their children to get US education. Some of them actually stay here and contribute to the US. Others go back, but bring the US culture back into China, which is an incredibly important aspect when people start to learn about the rest of the world. The program itself is due to sunset at the end of September 2028, and there's a guarantee period until September 2027, where if you file before then, the law guarantees immigration will finish your case even if the program sunsets. There's a lot of action going on at the moment in Congress trying to persuade the congressmen and senators to extend the program. It's a benefit. This is a win-win-win program because it's a bring foreign direct investments into the US, create employment. Usually employment can run to 20, 30 people per investor, although the law only requires 10. And then, of course, it's absolutely zero cost to the taxpayer because the fees charged by immigration are covering all of immigration's costs. In fact, when the government shuts down, the EB-5 section of immigration can continue because it's still funded with its own fees. Then you've still got the taxes these people pay.
Right.
They bring in billions of dollars of taxes into the economy. So it's a very, very solid program. It's positive, it's growth, it's good people. I've not heard of in the 25, 30 years I've been doing EB-5 of one of my EB-5 clients getting into any criminal trouble. So it's a good program. And then, of course, there are the other programs where the companies here need employees, they need
Right.
specialists, they need sometimes the lower level workers which are not in the marketplace. And so that's another area of the immigration law that we take care of.
Now, I love it, and you did the Waldorf Astoria here in Beverly Hills. You've got other hotel projects and other commercial real estate projects going with this. What's the lead time to get to the point where the application's being submitted on the EB-5 project?
Depending on where the project has reached in its development, if it's shovel ready, we can get a case filed within less than 3 months.
Okay.
And then that gives you the entitlement to file individual investor cases, and once they've filed, you'll get the money. This is a staggered process because you don't get all the investors rushing in at once.
Right.
So don't expect money to come in as if you've closed the escrow with a bank.
Right.
But it does come in tranches, either of 800,000 or 1,050,000. Most cases are 800,000, and many of them are going into the rural areas now because the investors prefer rural, because the law requires immigration to give them a preferred adjudication. So they like it because they get the cases through a little faster. It's not that much faster, and so the high unemployment is also working, and both of those are at the $800,000 level.
There you go. Now, I'm building a 500-room hotel, coastal California. How should somebody get a hold of you? And let's walk me through this process. Is this something that is viable for my project? How can people get a hold of it?
Okay, we have a website. You can go to eb5strategies.com, or you can go to Hirson at Hirson.com. Both websites will get you to me. I'm in Orange County, California. My email address is dhirson@hirson.com, and my phone number is 949-279-2156, and that goes directly to my cell, so you'll get me day, night, weekends. I'm around. So once you get hold of me, we generally set up a minimum of a 30-minute complimentary consultation on Zoom, and we have an in-depth discussion with you. And we give you the ideas, the cost, and it's not an inexpensive process, so you've got to be committed to it.
Right.
But if it gets going and it goes right and your project is right, we'll send it out to the marketplace, and we also advise them what to do and not to do to be attractive in the marketplace. And you will then find your project will be sent through, and hopefully investors will start to come in. Ideally, if you have your own connections and investors available to you, that's your safest way of going, because we will get you through the immigration system, even if it takes a little longer with weird questions from immigration. But if you qualify, you qualify.
Right.
The biggest test is getting the investors. So the more connection you have with investors, the stronger and the quicker you'll bring your money in. Investors generally will take about 6 months before you see the first one after we've filed. So you're looking at about a year before you might see the first money. Sometimes quicker again. If you have your own investors, then it's closer to 3 months from the time, because when we file that first full business plan, you can start filing your EB-5 investors. You don't have to wait the extra 6 to 12 months for adjudication of that plan filing. So money can come through as soon as we file the individual investor case, get the receipt from the government. Your money will be released from the escrow. And we have escrow companies that don't charge for that service because they make their money elsewhere.
Right.
And so there's no expense to you. It's just a matter of getting it into that escrow, and then we, or your company that raises the funds, will give you instructions to escrow to release. It gets released to what's called the NCE, the New Commercial Enterprise, who in turn will then release it to the JCE, which is the Job Creating Enterprise or the project. And then you use it, but you must use that money only for project-related job-creating exercises. Please don't do what some bad guys did and buy a yacht in Florida in the ocean and a condo overlooking. Those people are spending a lot of time in jail at the moment.
Yeah.
But if this program is used correctly, and it's so much more controlled, and the law is so much more in favor of investors now, that it is a good program, and we are focused on it. We own 4 of our own regional centres, which we license out. We do not have our own projects. So if you come to us, we have, I think, very good prices compared to the market. And then we have colleagues in the marketplace also exhibiting here at Meet the Money, and it's EB-5 Coast to Coast, who we worked with very closely also for close to 20 years, and they cover most of the country. So we'll always get you a regional centre if you don't want your own. So
Exactly.
it's a full service that we can offer
Love
on
it.
EB-5 from start to finish, plus all the other positive benefits, immigration type cases.
Wonderful. David, thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We'll be back with another broadcast from Meet the Money soon. Thanks, people.